we're going to start with our belief system. And your belief, so your life is a reflection of everything you believe. If you believe it's true, it's true. If you believe you can do it, you can do it. If you believe you can't do it, you can't do it. If you believe it's not true, it's not true for you. And I need to help you understand that, okay? Because it's really cool. So if you haven't read all the emails, if you don't know, last Monday I had this universal being come in, and when he knew what I was going to be sharing today, because I committed to it a few months ago, and I've been slowly working behind the scenes, putting this together. And, you know, he tried a few things to make sure that I wasn't going to do this. And, you know, physical things, right? You get sick and different challenges occur. And I just kept my head down and kept going. So last Monday he showed up 4:00 in the morning in my bedroom, and he was like, "So you're going to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." And he's not pleased. And I'm going to tell you, he's not pleased because their mission here, okay, this is going to sound dramatic, but when we get into the details, it's going to make sense. Well, my goal is to help it make sense. So he wants you to understand that humanity has been strategically manipulated. And how do you manipulate someone? By, one, withholding the truth. But the most important part of withholding the truth is making someone believe they don't have access to the truth. If you can block someone from accessing the truth simply by saying, "Oh, that's how many times do you hear people say in their conversation, "Oh, that's above my pay grade," right? Like little offhand comments that we've been taught to accept. And the moment we accept something, we participate in it. And so my goal today is to help you begin participating in how you were created as a soul, rather than how you've been taught to be as a human being. Okay? So we're going to go into that side first, which is interesting. I thought we would do the other side, but I thought we would be talking more about who you were created to be, but they want to help you understand first the strategic manipulation. So that's fascinating. And for those of you who are here, you're here for a reason. You're here because 99% of what I'm saying is going to be like, "Yep, knew that. Yep, knew that." Even if you haven't actually consciously thought about it in the details, your brain, you already know, right?
Please sign up for gym.
There we go. See, Laura's teaching. She's at school today. So she was telling everybody, it's all good. We're all going to go to gym, Laura. So it's understanding that as you go through, I want you to feel as much of what I'm saying as possible, because your instincts already know, right? You're here for a reason. You know, it was funny because I put an ad on Facebook about this. Well, actually I put a post, and all the people who had something really nasty and really negative to say, they're not the ones who are going to be here. They're not the ones who saw that, read it, and went, "I know what she means. I know what she means. And I want confirmation, and I want to know more," right? That's every single time I have that feeling, I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" And then the energy starts to come together, and then you get that awareness, and you're like, "Oh, that makes total sense." The thing with universal awareness is it's always simple. It is never complicated. If it is complicated, it's coming from your mind, and it isn't truth. Okay? Number one. So there were 4 systems that were created to control humanity. Okay. So I'm jumping right into this because you're ready. So that's really cool. But we're going to talk through each of them. We're not going to spend too much time on them, but we're going to talk through them enough so you understand the level of manipulation and how it's affected humanity as a whole. Okay. So the first one is religion. And, the main core belief of religion is God is a power outside of you. So it taught us that in order to get permission, in order to get approval, in order to pass judgment, right? That you need to believe in something outside of yourself. You need to strive to please another being, period. So this is literally judgment came as a result of religion, which is really, really cool. When you start to understand, right? Our entire culture is based on it. And then it's obviously gone into extreme iterations, right? Where there's, people literally killing other people for their beliefs, all based on different religious perspectives. But the core essence and the reason that religion itself was created was so that there would be a set of rules that they could implement that humanity would then need to follow. And every religion is the exact same. It doesn't matter which one, because humans are self-governing. We don't need to follow rules of others. We're self-governing. We know all of the things. But if we can be taught that we have to do things and then we have to repent, we have to behave, and that there's a judgment day. I've done this work for a long time, and I've worked with a lot of people who are crossing over and who are leaving this life. And I may have worked with them for 15 years, but they still carry that fear of what happens on the other side. It's still there. And it's fascinating to me how ingrained these belief systems are and how much they're affecting us even without us realizing it. There was a massive movement about 25, 30 years ago that really started to see a surge in the spiritual. And a lot of people, beginning to pronounce they're atheists. They don't follow a religion per se. But even the spiritual realm has its own set of belief systems. And it was designed to reject all mainstream. So it's really fascinating when you start to study and you start to go in. Like I spent about 15 years studying all different religions, all different, I spent years with different native bands, different churches. It's fascinating what humans will do to feel connection with other humans. Because at the core, that's what we're looking for. And what's fascinating and the coolest thing to me was that everyone typically celebrates in the exact same way. It's every religion, every belief system. There was a celebration of humans coming together, a celebration of looking at reflection, right? Self-reflection on who we need to be, who we're meant to be. But there's always an underlying manipulation, right? So all of the books that are like the Bible, the Quran, all of them are, it's really cool because I had in our private community in the Authentic Human Collective a couple of weeks ago, we had a really cool conversation. And, we were talking about the Bible, and Jesus showed up, and he's here now too. And, the Bible is a misinterpretation, and you can feel. So when I'm saying someone's here, feel them, allow yourself to feel that energy and receive the awareness, because that's how we learn. That's how we experience. Okay. So ultimately, the Bible itself is a collection of other people's perspectives, right? So religion was created way before the Bible was created. And then they went, well, how can we make this belief structure stronger? Well, we can create a book. And then it will be the book that all people have to follow, right? The reason that people do it is because we instinctively know that there's more to this world. We know that we're meant for connection. We know and we can feel that, Jesus embodied a lot of that energy. But it's the rules and regulations and the interpretations that come with judgment that have zero truth in them. And they didn't come from Jesus at all. Yes. So there's a lot of manipulation. So the religion is the first one. So religion introduced humanity to judgment. And we are living in the current culture of the entire human race is founded in judgment. It's fascinating what people believe that they're able to pass judgment on a daily basis. And, I want you to feel for a minute how many times judgment has been used on you in the last week or two, but also how much you've used judgment. Okay. And the reason I want you to feel it is because judgment is powerful. Because when we use judgment, we're looking for a response. Our intention is to elicit shame from another human being. Isn't that fascinating? Even though you may not be fully conscious of that, when we use judgment or judgment is used against us, it is with the intention to elicit shame. Okay? I am going to tell you what the antidote is to judgment in coming up in a little bit. We're going to get to that, but we're going to go through all 4 of the limiting belief structures, and then we'll get to how to get rid of them. Okay. So the second structure that was determined, is the financial system. Now, the financial system, okay, was created. This is fun. This is like it created a belief in you that you need something already in order to get something you want. That's it. It's that simple. So, what energy did that create? It created fear. It created fear. And inside of fear, you've got lack of self-worth, right? All those, I'm not good enough. Why can't I? The financial system has nothing to do with money and everything to do with fear. Has anybody here ever had fear around money? Ever? Strategically designed, because if you're in a state of fear, you can't feel yourself, you can't feel truth, and then you become powerless when you can't feel. That's why these 4 systems were created. Okay, so religion created judgment, financial system created fear. third system, one of my thorns in my side, is the education system. Thumbs up, Laura. Double thumbs up. That was awesome. The education system taught humanity we don't know who we are. We're stupid until we learn something from a book, until we conform to rules. We're worthless. The problem is what it created is this is where we learn to stop feeling. Because you went from a natural state of being in the energy of feeling to thinking. This is where your shift came. Now, it may not have come the moment you went to school. If you had parents who were very much believers in the education system, they brought that dynamic into the home at a young age. Some started at 6 months old, right? Let's do it this way because this is how I learned in school. And this is how, the one that I see the most common is newborn babies. Newborn babies, what is the first thing we do? We have been told to put mitts on their hands. So why? So they can't scratch themselves. When you take a baby's ability to feel and touch themselves away, they're already learning to not feel. Can you feel that? Can you feel that energy, that awareness? The moment that humans are born, we are meant to be in connection. But the education system said, no, we know better. We know better because we studied this, and we're going to take that baby and make sure that baby's okay. A mother will always know if there's something with her baby that is off. She will second guess it because someone told her along the lines that her instincts are off and she can't follow her instincts. It's not because she doesn't know, it's because she second guesses based on who she's been taught to become. Is this making sense so far, guys? Okay. Awesome. So the education system taught us to stop feeling and start thinking, which was the biggest decline in our natural state of being ever. Fear and judgment, those are pretty easy to overcome, right? And if you think about it, religion and financial beliefs, you have to go outside of your space to actually go and physically look for them, where the education system has permeated everything. Why? Because everyone is encouraged to go. And not only are we encouraged, we are told it's a privilege. We are taught that the education system is a privilege. And how many degrees you have on your wall is the recognition of how smart you are. So there are millions of people across this planet with some have 5, 6, 7 degrees, and they still don't have inner peace. They don't believe in who they are. They're not comfortable with themselves when they wake up in the morning. Those are because they don't know how to feel themselves. They don't know how to connect with who they are. That, I remember when I said, we'll have to do that in another class, but I remember asking the universe, and I said, okay, guys, so what's the antidote then? Like, what do we need to do to fix this? And they said, no child under the age of 13 should ever be told to sit still and listen, ever. We are meant to move our bodies. We are meant to move our bodies. How cool is that? That's all kids want to do. They want to move, and they want to tell you what they've discovered, what they've learned, what they've seen, what they've heard. They don't need you to tell them. And I have goosebumps because when we treat children as the bright, intelligent, universal beings they are, then they flourish. Then they follow their dreams. They discover who they are. They know their purpose and they become it. Can you imagine if your life, if you were born into a world where the moment you were born, you were honored for who you are? Not once were you told, oh no, don't do it that way. Do it this way. Oh, you're going to hurt yourself. Do it this way. Can you imagine? Would you think your life would be a little bit different than today? Maybe just a little bit. Okay, guys, the fourth system that's messing with our brains, that's messing with ourselves. No, this is going to come as no surprise. The medical system. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. The medical system made us believe, they taught us to believe that someone else can fix us, which inherently means we believed we're broken. Just feel that for a minute. Because when you can understand that humans, okay, original humans, before all this manipulation, we were born with full awareness of who we are. We were, and still are, self-sustaining and self-healing. We're not broken. We come out of balance as a result of experiences and challenges that are actually opportunities to help us remember we're not broken. But in the belief system that we're in, we look at it as an attack. We look at it as, why is this happening to me? Instead of saying, okay, so this is happening. I'm ready for this challenge. And it's going to be challenging a belief in me that I can't do this, that I'm not strong enough, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not ready and not worthy. So what if I could shift my beliefs and discover what's possible? In 2019, yeah, I broke my ankle, and it was a nice break, clean, straight through, but I did it in the middle of the forest on a hiking trail. This is like late evening, and I'm with, at the time, my son was 5, and we had to hike out of the woods together. And we're about probably an hour, 1.5 kilometers to 2 kilometers away from the car. So I just energetically put the intention that my leg needed to be supported and we needed to get there because I knew something was wrong. This is really cool because you're going to see all the dynamics really that we just talked about. You're going to see them all come up. It's fun. So we finally get back to the car and get in and it's like, it was a 35-degree day with the humidity. It was up at like 38, 39, and it was really warm. So I wanted to take a quick shower before I went to the hospital. I called a girlfriend so she could come pick up my son, and she drove me to the hospital. And by the time I went to get out of the car, I couldn't walk anymore. I couldn't put any weight on it. So I get into the triage, and the nurse says to me, well, it's highly unlikely it's broken. There's no way you would have been able to walk on it, let alone walk for 2 kilometers. And I said, okay, well, you're the expert, right? This is what we've been taught. The medical, the nurses, and the doctors are the experts. And I said, okay. So she said, but you should get it checked. So she sent me into the waiting room, and now the shock is wearing off. So I'm now freezing. And she sent me into the freezing cold air conditioning for 2 hours, and I'm just shivering for 2 hours. So then they brought me in and made me wait, I guess, another half hour. And then the doctor comes in and she pokes it. And she's like, oh, doesn't really look swollen. I don't think it's broken. But we should do an x-ray just in case. So they did an x-ray. And then I'm in the room and I'm waiting for another hour. An hour and a half goes by. Now, both of these experts, right, have told me it's highly unlikely it's broken. So now I'm like, well, maybe I should walk on it. Maybe it's just in my head. Anybody ever tell you something against what your instincts are, and then you start second guessing your instincts? Right. So now I'm like standing there, and the resident then comes in. She's like, no, you have to sit down. She said, you have a horrible break. It's straight through. The whole bone is broken. So anyways, then they sent me to the other surgeon, and it turned out that he had that doctor in his own office 8 weeks before. And she had a similar situation where it didn't look broken, but they took care of her just in case. And then with this surgeon, I also decided to do some natural healing. And when I get back for the 6-week appointment, he's pulling up the x-ray and he's really looking uncomfortable. He's looking at the x-ray. He's looking uncomfortable. He's like blowing it up. And I'm just laying there. And he's like, did they take an x-ray of the right foot? And I said, yep. And he goes, And then he pulls up the original x-ray, and then he pulls up the new one, and he amplifies. He goes, oh, I can see it. There it is. There it is. Okay, this is where the break was. And I was like, what? Because they originally said it's going to take weeks and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you did something. And I said, yep. And he goes, I don't want to know what it is, but you did something with roots and herbs and stuff. And I said, yep. And he said, I don't want to know because I'll be out of a job. And this is that part where humanity has forgotten to work together. We've forgotten that in order to thrive, we're meant to work together. We're all experts in something. Every single human being in existence is different than the other. Why? Because we're meant to be. The creator would never create two souls the same because it's redundant and it's a waste of energy. Because if you already exist, why would they do that again? That would make no sense. So ultimately, it's understanding that everyone's energy, everyone's expertise, everyone's instincts and feelings, they're needed here. So creation, souls were created. I'm going to go into this a little bit right now because this is what the energy is saying. So it's really cool how it is flowing. But so the universe was created, this is like the Coles Notes of Coles Notes of Coles Notes versions, because obviously like 2 billion years, 3 billion years, 5 billion years, I can't just squish it down into 2 hours, right? So, and I've only been studying for 20 years, but when it comes to this, I'm like, yeah, how am I going to squish that all in? And you can't. But at the end of the day, okay, the intention for the universe was created first, okay, using the universal law of creation. Okay, really, really important. Intention becomes energy, becomes experience. So a lot of people will say to me all the time, oh, Michelle, I don't like my life. I don't like how this is happening. I don't like what's going on over here. Then your intention isn't a pure expression of what you want. Your intention is wonky. Go back and look at your intention, because whatever your intention is, it's becoming energy. It's the energy you're broadcasting out to the universe, and it is what the experience is going to become. So If you don't like what you're experiencing, you think your intention may be clean and clear, but it is not. Go back and have a look. Okay. That's where the issue will always be. And it reveals itself every time. It's phenomenal, really. It's so simple. So when the universe was created and everything was created in that same method. Okay. So then matter was created by the first stream of angelics. The angelics were created. So universal beings were created. It's really cool. And then they created matter, which is the planets, right? Which is the stars, which is dust, which is everything. And then they created everything, like water, fire, all the elements, like everything was created. It's really cool. And then the second stream of angelics came in and created experience. So they took matter to a whole new level. Just fascinating, and it's awesome. If you guys ever want to explore more of this, we do this every week on Thursdays in the Authentic Human Collective, because this is like, I think creation is awesome, and I just want to know more all the time. So that's what we do. So ultimately, once these aspects of creation were solidified, they were, in existence with their own vibration. Okay. Remember, the universe only creates sustaining creations. Okay. Other beings bring things in that need sustenance. We'll get to that in a minute. So then he was like, well, yes, it is a masculine energy that was the creator, but masculine has nothing to do with boys and girls, nothing at all. It has everything to do with masculine is a comfort in being. Feminine is a comfort in flowing. Fundamentally different experiences. This universe was originally created as a being universe. So that masculine depth of being, right? That comfort level. When you meet someone and they're so comfortable with who they are, they don't get flustered over anything. They don't react to anything in any way other than calm and peace. That's someone who's rocking that masculine energy. And it has nothing to do with boys and girls. Okay. So from there, the creator was like, well, we have this beautiful universe. We got to create beings who will come and play. Play. We're going to create beings who will come and play here. What is play? Play is exploring what's possible. That's it. Do you remember in your childhood when you would play and you'd be like, oh, let's try this and let's try this, because there was no rules on how you had to play? That's what you were created to do here. But not with all the limitations that have been created through religion, finance, education, and medical. You were created to play, to explore your potential and the potential of the universe itself. And when those two come together, you're participating in the reason for this entire universe's existence. You're participating in evolution. Evolution is a result of full recognition of who you are, who you're meant to be, and what you're meant to be doing here. Okay? Your purpose unfolds. So here's the thing. The one thing that over the last 20 years of doing this work, excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip for a second. The biggest misconception about what our purpose is, most people come and they're like, I want to know my purpose. And what I realized is they were expecting it to be like a job description. They were expecting their soul to say, okay, so here's the tasks that you need to perform every day. These are your expectations. These are, the description of your strengths, your weaknesses. That is not what a soul purpose is. Why? Because there's only one rule in this entire universe, and it is free will. So you came to play with free will. Do you know what free will means? Anybody know? Type it into the chat. What is free will? What does that mean? Oh, now you have to type for me. I know, you were all comfy. No wrong answers. My job is to see where you guys are at. And again, my job today is to expand your belief system so it encompasses more of the truth of who you are and who you were created to be. Choice without restraint. Yep. That's a great way to say it, Laura. Anybody else got a different way to say it? The ability to make any choice. See? Yep. There's no rules. Free will means no rules, no limits, no restraints, zero. So if that's true, then how do you have so many rules in your life? Where'd they come from? How many times do you think, oh, I want to do this? And then there's a whole list of reasons you can't, shouldn't, won't. It's too hard. It won't work. And where do they all come from? From your mind. Through creativity and joy. Yes, Carol, that's lovely. So the medical taught us to forget that we're self-healing and that we're self-sustaining creations. Okay. So we've got 4 systems. We've got religion that brought in judgment, financial that brought in fear, education that said, stop feeling. Feeling is bad for you. Only think your way through this. So what did we do then? We forgot to follow our instincts. Medical said, forget it. You're not self-healing and you're not self-sustaining creations. You're broken and we're going to fix you. Okay. So how you guys doing? How are we feeling? Is this making sense? It's all making sense? Yes. Good. Anybody want to know how to get over all these things? Or do you want to know first who created these 4 systems? Be guided by intuition, but must be in touch with it. Yeah. 100%. It's fascinating because when this dude, and I use that word very loosely, when he showed up in my room last Monday, I would think finance is about control, a military war machine about fear. So war occurred as a result of lack of self-worth. I was shown that in 2011 when I asked the universe what humanity's greatest challenge was, and they said self-worth. And so that comes back to the education system. And what happens with self-worth is when you do not know who you are and do not have a deep respect for yourself, you cannot respect anyone else. So then you use external gratification to justify your value and your worth. So that's where war came in. Competition came in, all of it. And it was really cool because they showed me a massive, it was like watching one of those old black and white videos, and it was just scrolling through. And I was standing, literally, I was walking through the middle of my living room, and I stood still for about 4 or 5 minutes, transfixed by this, what they were showing me and the energies that would come up, and it all is a result, because if you know who you are, no one can control you. I need you to understand that. If you know who you are, no one and nothing can control you. ever. It is actually impossible. And so that's why they continue to feed these four systems so that they will remain in control, so to speak. But it was really cool because then I did study self-worth for 12 years. And I actually, we just finished it up in the late winter, our first, and it's a year-long program, but I studied it for 12 years. And then they said, okay, you gotta help people go through this. And I remember I was in these entrepreneur groups, and it was funny. They're like, you can't put out a year-long course. Nobody's going to follow it. Nobody's going to stick with it. Nobody. And I was like, well, if the universe is telling me this, and there's humans over here telling me that, I'm going to follow the universe every time. And so I put it out, and of the 20 people who went through it with me the first time, everyone finished right to the end. It was ending up being 13 months. I can say there's at least a handful of you on the call today that were in that program. But my point, and the reason I'm saying that, is because we're taught a lot of things in this world. There's a lot of beliefs that we're taught to follow. But when we shift and we allow ourselves to follow our instincts, magic happens. And I can tell you, every one of those humans are completely different people today. They're unrecognizable to who they were a year ago. And they will tell you that themselves because they've told me. So it's really cool. So that's where war comes from. But the whole system. So Faye, I love that you brought control up, because that's really the core of all of this. How do you control someone, which we talked about right from the beginning, is you control what they believe is true and not true. You control their beliefs. So if you control that there's going to be judgment at the end of their life, that you have to be good little humans and stay in line so that you get to go to heaven and not hell, right? You're controlling their behavior. You're controlling their actions and reactions, and you're ensuring and instilling fear. Absolutely. But again, it's the same thing, right? Is the financial, is you have to have something already to get anything. It's all of these dynamics. But the core of all of them is one governing system. And this is the one that it makes me a little uncomfortable going into the energy of it. I met some of the beings that are lower down about 18, 20 years ago. And instantly I knew who they were. Like, I knew what their intentions were, because energetically, guys, like when you remember how to feel and you go into connection with another soul, you feel everything. There's no filter. Because we're not meant to have filters, right? It's the human side of us that's been taught, oh, hide that, keep that over here. There's classified information. There is nothing classified. There's nothing hidden. But if you believe it's classified, then you're like, oh, well, I can't know that. I don't know that, right? I don't have access to that, which makes you feel less than. And sometimes that's from a government perspective. Sometimes that's from your partner's perspective, or friends, or work, all the different things, your kids, whoosh. My son is 10 and getting into that age where he's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to tell you. So, it's everywhere, right? But it's understanding that nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden. And this is really important, because if you believe it's hidden, you're going to act like it's hidden. You're going to act like that. And again, remember what I said, your life is a reflection of your beliefs. So if you walk around believing that's not possible, guess what? It's not possible. But remember, we just talked about human creation, and you're here with zero limits, absolute free will. You can do anything. The only thing you have to do, and I've been doing this for 20 years with humans one-on-one, the only thing you have to do is break down every single limiting belief that's in the way. I've been doing it one-on-one. I've been doing it in mass communities. I've been doing it all over the world, literally 5 different continents, 35, 40 countries, because we're all the same. We've all been trained in the same way. And who's been doing it? One universal government. Yep, it is. And that government controls every country's government in the world. So your government does not have freedom. How many people already knew that? How many people suspected that? Right. It's not a surprise. It's not a shock. It's like, okay, yeah. This universal being that's here. So of the ones that I met 18, 20 years ago, he's their leader, so to speak. Now, what you need to understand about universal beings, okay, which is different than what we've been taught about bad human beings. Okay, so technically there are no bad humans. I need you to understand that as well. Humans do bad things as a result of those four systems. When their back is against the wall, they do bad things, but they're not inherently evil. But if their back has been pressed up against the wall and their belief system is literally closing in on them, and they feel trapped, they have to get out of the trapped feeling. And that's where bad things come from. Do you understand that? Does that make sense? Okay. These universal beings. So when I met the first ones, I knew them right away because they don't have one of the 9 fundamental energies that every human in existence has. It was blank. I'll tell you what it is in a few minutes when we start going through them. It was empty. That part of them was empty. And I was like, who are you? And they told me who they were. And they told me, that their mission was they were here to manipulate humanity. Now, we've been told that manipulation is dark and scary. And why? Because it goes into the belief system that wants us to be fearful. Okay. So when I first met them, I was uncomfortable and I didn't want to bring them near any of my clients. I didn't want to open that space. I didn't understand how universal energy worked, right? I was still in that, the spiritual belief system of you clear your space, you do this, you do that, which none of it's necessary. Again, free will. You set your intention becomes energy, becomes your experience. If your intention is clear and strong enough, right? So if your intention is, I want to clear my space, but I might have to do it tomorrow, then your energy is, got to clear it every day. And your experience is, if you don't clear it, it's going to be uncomfortable. Does that make sense? Whereas if your intention is, I understand who I am. I also understand that as a universal being, we are in a universe of free will. Whatever I determine for myself is my experience. And when I'm able to communicate with these universal beings, you can't cross this line. They cannot cross that line because energetically it's free will. Okay. It's different than the physical human because again, humans have been backed into a corner and they're coming out swinging right now. And you can hear it. You can see it. It's everywhere. The news, there's more incidents. Yes, we have internet now as opposed to not having it 50 years ago, but everyone's experiences are more enhanced, especially in 2024, because in December of last year, when the universe shifted into the energy for this year, we shifted into the energy of purity. Purity is all about creating a new foundation for your life. This is a lot of information to take in today. I know that. Again, this is 20 years of me researching. That being said, if you like, we in the collective, we've been studying purity since December, all different aspects, all the areas of how it affects us. So it's fascinating. So that's where a lot of you are in the community, which is awesome. So I'm like, I can see you're following along and it's awesome. So the understanding that these universal beings, okay, they come from another universe. They're not from here. So instantly we know that because when you're feeling energy, it's the greatest bullshit detector on the face of the earth. Because when you feel into someone else's energy, you're instantly going to know who they are, what their intention is, period. And if you want to, if you are choosing to be of service in this world as a universal being, which is also one of the 9 fundamentals, you can ask, who can I be for this person? What do they need to hear? What do they need to feel? Who do I need to become? Sometimes you just need to say nothing because that's what that person needs. Okay? These universal beings do not have the energy of love. Now, what I need you to understand is universal love is not romantic love. It's fundamentally different. Okay? And we're going to start now. Okay. So, okay. He wants to talk, which is great, but there's a whole bunch of universal beings from our side that also are sharing. So this is all coming through, just so you're all clear on all of this. They've all gotten together to make sure that I share the right information with all of you that makes sense, but also that gets you the answers that you're looking for. So when they arrived in this universe, it was with these beings that are not from here. They came with the intention to manipulate the overall experience. Why? Because no one else is doing what this universe is doing. No one else allowed for free will. Every other universe has a particular aspect of creation, and that's all they study. That's it. So they'll study fear, they'll study judgment, they'll study anger, they'll study joy, they'll study purity. It doesn't matter, but they only study one. This is the first one where we're here to do it all. So what else does that mean? What we're doing is fascinating to everybody else. And they were like, well, if they can do that, then what can we do? So we're going to come and see if we can mess with it. And in doing so, they discovered how much more dynamic humanity itself is than they ever would have guessed. That's what he's saying. So this is him, and he's going to get his say now. And he said, we didn't understand what we were getting into, but we sure had a lot of fun trying. And we understood. Carol's laughing. That's good, right? It's fun. They came to see what's possible. Man, did they make an impact. They literally created a new belief system in this universe. So they wanted to see if humanity could be taken away from their roots and literally like drag them over here, plop them down and go, okay, go from here. And we're going to pretend you can't see the truth. After enough of this conditioning, we started to believe it. And then we acted like this was the truth. And the other was the lies. But what's more important is understanding that every step of the way, they've enabled that illusion to remain the truth, to remain bigger. So how do you do that? How do you perpetuate a lie to the point where you get full participation and recognition? By anticipating our ability to feel truth and second guess what's going on. Because when they anticipated that process over and over and over again, they're always 10 to 2 steps ahead of us in the process of suppression, is the word that he's using. And he said, the only thing we needed to do was ensure you forgot your ability to feel. Because when you feel, every single one of those rules and systems becomes obsolete. So the number one most important system is the education system to their success, because it's the one that teaches you to not feel. And then what happens? It's like cattle going through like a gate, right? They're all like, what's the word when they're funneled through? That's what humans do. As soon as we go through the education system, we're then funneling through, right? You're funneling through the medical system, the religious system, and the financial. And you already are taught that all of these are a privilege. Prodding, yeah, that too. Who is universal? Sorry, Faye, what do you mean? Who is universal being manipulating humanity? Which group? So here's the thing. This is also really cool. So is it a group that's talked about? I've never heard them talked about in the 20 years I've been doing this work. Because most people that are doing communication, that are doing channeling, all that kind of stuff, they're talking to fifth dimensional beings. They're not talking to universal or external universal beings. I haven't met anyone yet who has. I'm sure it's happening somewhere. I don't spend a lot of my time studying what other people are doing. But the other really cool thing is, as universal beings, we don't actually have names. So names are labels that humans, again, through the education system, we need a label for that, that we've come up with. Energetically, there's no such thing. And so, for me to put labels on them, that's not my job, really, is what it comes down to. My job is to communicate with that being and move on. I don't need to know his name. The other interesting thing is, so our vibrations as souls, as universal beings, are like footprints or fingerprints. And so when you meet them, you know them. You don't, it's like when your best friend calls and you know their voice. You know them. You don't need to have a full conversation about who they are, right? Again, energy, right to the heart. So energy works. Again, nothing's hidden, but it's also complete. So if you have an intention to have, to get an answer, to have awareness about something, your energy opens to all of the experiences about that aspect of creation or existence or whatever it is that you're doing. This is what we do in between lives before we decide to come back for our lives. Like in preparation for this life, knowing and your soul knew you were coming in to participate in this massive transformation, right? It needed to collect, and you probably have gone back and had maybe, I don't know, some of you had 500 lives, some of you had 350, some of you have had 5,000 lives in preparation for this life. Again, time and space are not what we've been taught. There's no such thing as linear time. It only exists in human minds. Right? One thing doesn't happen after another. You can go back, you can go forward, I will say though, one thing that a lot of people, human souls are human souls. You can never come back as a dolphin or a dog or a horse. Like that's also impossible. Human souls are human souls. We're created with a different intention, right? You're here to hold this aspect of existence, and you wouldn't be able to do that in a different form. The other really cool thing is, a couple of weeks ago, I was going to bed at night and I'm like, so I asked the creator, I was like, why did you create different races? And he said, I didn't create different races. There's only one race. It's a human race. And I went, okay. And he's now here because I've like, don't tell me anymore because I want to do it in a exploration in my community, but now he's here. And he says, humans have different, colorations, different physical differences based on what their body needs to survive. But it's important, okay, understanding that they're in alignment with the original intention of humanity, not with the current expression of humanity, which is fundamentally different. So originally, right, we didn't live in houses, we didn't have cars, we didn't create havoc in the world. We lived in connection with the planet, with the seasons, with the elements, with existence itself, right? We're on the 5th iteration of human existence here. The first 4 ceased to exist. And this one, this is really important actually. This one, instead of, so when all these guys came in to start manipulating humanity, the creator, when he saw that we had gotten so far off track, he had to create another energy. Also going to talk about that in a minute. But he had to create another energy that would allow us to come back on track. And in doing so, he decided, because he believes in humanity. This is what you need to understand. The creator believes in your ability to remember who you are. And all you have to do is feel. Now, as a collective, okay, the entire human race, when we all focus on something, we feed it. We feed that energy. So that's why I don't create names for these universal beings who are not of intention on where we're going. They're where we've been. They're just here to tell us what they did. They're proud of themselves. And they should be proud of themselves because they did a damn good job at what they came out to accomplish. Our job is to learn from that, not to feel bad and to feel sorry for ourselves, but to learn from it and go, okay, I'm here because my soul knows we can overcome this. The creator believes in me because we're still here. So let's do this. So the number one thing you need as a soul to remember how to do to overcome this global system. It's a global system. It's run by governments, okay? Is you need to remember how to feel. Not emotions, not talking emotions. Ooh, I don't feel good. This feels sad. This feels lonely. That's emotions. That's not what you need to feel. You need to feel energy. Energy is your instincts, guys. It is your instincts that, and you have been ignoring them for most of your life. You've been taught to. So it's going to feel awkward. And there's also times when you've followed your instincts. You know, those near-death experiences where you're like, I don't know how I just made it out of that. Well, that was your instinct. That was your instinct that came in and said, brakes are good, or swerve, or, you know, don't go down there, or get off here. All of those crazy things, okay? Our instincts are primed and ready. And this is why humanity is looking, it's kind of crazy. The way I see it is, they showed me this a few weeks ago. It was really funny. You know, have you ever seen an ant farm where it's literally in this plastic case and there's sand and the ants are going through and every ant is doing the exact same thing, right? Why do ants do that? Because they know their role and they participate in it. Why? Because it feels good. But if you imagine humanity, no one knows what they're doing. No one's going in the same direction. Everyone's crossing over, bumping into each other, you know, getting in accidents over here, causing problems over there. That's because we don't follow our instincts. If you look at every other species on the planet, plant and animal, they follow their instincts. The only ones who haven't survived are a result of humans who don't follow their instincts. You with me? Is this all still making sense? Okay. So, in order for you to remember how to feel, you need to know who you are. Okay? in 2012, well, in 2007, they said, you're going to write a book. And I was like, I'm not going to write a book. I can't write a book. Because I don't even know if I finished high school English. I don't even know if there's a, what do you call those, a certificate, whatever they are, from high school. I have no idea, which is kind of crazy, right? I know I didn't go to graduation. Let's put it that way. I did go to prom, but that was about it. Anyways, I said, how am I going to write a book? No one's going to believe what I have to say. And then, of course, I told my family. Well, my uncle was like, did you get a book on how to write a book? Oh boy, now he's feeding my fears, right? So not believing in myself. So it took me 5 years. And I'll tell you, I wrote, like I have 5 or 6 books of information. And so I started putting it together and weaving it together. And I had friends helping me. They were like, yeah, I want to read all of it. They just wanted to get all the information. And so they started weaving it together. And then I'd sit down and I'd start reading. And I'm like, nope, it's not this one. This is not it. Nope, it's not this one. I was like, I'm going to have to write it. Damn it. I don't want to write it. So I tried for 5 years to not write it. And then a friend of mine lent me their cottage for a week. And I went up and I sat down at the computer and I started writing. I don't know what I'm supposed to write. I don't know what I'm doing here. And then I just went, but I surrender. Show me. And I wrote belief. And every day I learned more about humanity. I learned who we were created to be. I learned about our potential. And I learned that it's a secret that's been hidden from us. And that's why all this suffering keeps happening, because we don't know who we are. And then I went, okay, well, now I got to share it. But I don't know how to share these things. So I didn't do much with it. And then I shared a little bit. And then I shared a little bit more. And it's really cool because this book was written by universal beings, the universal beings who created humanity. And they're telling us about you. They're telling, every word was a description on how it feels when you're in connection with the full intention, right? Intention becomes energy, becomes experience. So when you're in full connection with the intention of how and why you were created, and that energy is the foundation for that book. I've only read one other book that has the same energy that meets you where you're at. And that book is Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. But Believe is designed to help you understand and recognize yourself, your potential and your power, so that you could reclaim that power. There's a lot of you here who have it, I know. And how many of you guys have it on your night table? So you can like have it. Yeah. See, that's what it is. Because it's that book that when you have it, like you'll literally flip it open. It's like pulling cards, or it's like anything. Like, I need a sign for today. And sure enough, the chapter on whatever energy you need to know, or whatever aspect of existence you need to know, shows up. So since 2013, so that's my English free today. So for 11 years, everyone's been asking me, everyone who has the book keeps saying, Michelle, please, can you tell me more about all these energies? Because there's 9 energies inside of us. Can you tell me more? Can you give me more understanding of who I am? When you're reading Believe, there's a chapter on alchemy. Okay. Alchemy is the process of going from one state of being to another, which means you're changing the vibration, which is created energetically. It's like electrons. You're changing the vibration of your cells to become something different. And when you can hold an energy for 9 straight minutes, you go from one state of being to another. 9 straight minutes. Now, I can tell you it's very, 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 very hard to focus on one thing for 9 minutes. Why? Because, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And I used to do workshops. In 2012, I was doing workshops on this. And it's a lot of work. That being said, we're going to do it different. I would do them in one day, and it was exhausting. So the reason, I'm doing the masterclass today to share all this information, but for those who do want to go deeper, okay, so it opens today. It's a new program I'm starting. I'm going to teach it only one time. It's called the Elevate Experience. And I'm going to talk about the 9 energies in a minute, but I want you to know that if you do want to go deeper into each of these 9, we're going to do that over the next 12 weeks. The course starts June 4th and we go to August 21st. And I will send you an email with the information, and also I'll give you the link in a minute in the chat. But every one of those 12 days, we're going to cover the 9 fundamentals plus the 1 energy that was an additional, but I'm going to hold the space. I'm going to explain them to you. We're going to go into the energy. You're going to learn how to feel it, how to recognize it, how to use it to get what you want and why. We're going to talk about those in a minute, but then I'm going to hold the space for you for 9 minutes so that you can build your stamina, so you can continue. Because the moment you can do all of these 9 fundamental energies, all of them, for 9 minutes each, without 0 shifts in your state of being, you will reach enlightenment. Because this is how we were created. This is who we were created to be. Okay? So, do you guys want to know what they all are? I know some of you do because you have the book. We're going to go over all of them. We're going to talk a little bit about why each of these 9 fundamentals is important, why it's important to you. So the first one is love. Okay. Now, love is the energy of universal connection. Remember what I said to you about those beings who came to mess with humanity. They didn't have love. Every creation in this universe has the vibration of love. Every plant, every animal, every drop of water, every drop of sand, every breeze, all has the vibration of love. Why? So you can recognize it. So you can instantly go deep into the feeling of connection, free of any worry that this being or experience is going to harm you. Does this make sense? It's not, fuzzy love. And, this has nothing to do with romantic love, which is completely misrepresented. Love is about connection. And the most important connection in your life is your connection with yourself, who you are, why you were created, and what you're meant to be doing here. That energy is paramount to your success as a human being. Paramount. There's a lot of misinformation out there. This is when I see people say, we're all one, we're all one, we're all one. This energy gives that impression that humans are all one, but humans are very unique in our creation and intention. So we're not the same. And that's what I want. Sometimes when we hear things, right, we misinterpret, and then we take that misinterpretation into our belief system. And that's the other really cool thing is when you're on this journey of awakening, when you hear things that stretch your belief system, resist the urge to bring them down into your belief system and sort of file them where your belief system is. Allow your belief system to crack open and go, okay, which beliefs can go? What can I discard? What files don't belong anymore? So I can raise my awareness, expand my perspective, and allow myself to align more fully with my perspective of my soul, because your soul has a 360-degree perspective of existence. You've got maybe 1 or 2%. So if your intention is to bring that 360 down into your 2 every time, you're going to miss the point. We want to expand the point. Make sense? Awesome. So the second universal energy is truth. Truth is the energy of universal knowledge. Every single thing that has ever occurred in the history of existence itself is recorded. And you have 100% full access to all of it. Nothing is off limits. That's how your soul knows, oh, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to have this experience before I come into this life. Okay? We call it stacking the deck, because you need to be prepared for the life that you've chosen, right? You choose your parents, you choose your gender, you choose your race, you choose your location for being born, you choose all of it, because you know what you're coming into experience, and you're setting yourself up to have that experience in the best way possible for the result that you're intending to experience. Remember, you're coming in to explore. You're not coming in with a definite of, this is what's going to happen. It's more of a, here's my exploration. What are you coming in to explore? Okay. So universal knowledge. Truth is, there's only one truth, guys. So if you're still walking around saying, oh, this is my truth, you need to revisit your beliefs and come back and allow yourself to go up to the universal truth, because there's only one. It happened the way it happened, the way it happened. You could have your perspectives, but those are not truths. Everybody understand that? One truth, one truth. It happened that way, and it's about you allowing yourself to see the whole truth. Okay? Make sense? This is universal knowledge. This is our ability to access everything we need to know. I always give the example, when you walk into a room and someone's really pissed off, energetically, you can feel that. You walk into the room and you're like, what's wrong? They're like, nothing. And you're like, right. Because you can feel the truth, right? So then your job is to feel into, who do I need to be right now for this person, right? If it's someone that's not coming with you on your journey, isn't going into your future, walk out. They're not worth your effort. Unless, and sometimes it depends. Sometimes they are, right? But if it's someone who's in your family or in your career, that's when you go, okay, who do they need me to be? Do they need space? Do they need me to know I understand where they're coming from? Because most of the time, why do we get angry? Because we don't feel heard and seen. So if you can set that other person at ease instantly by letting them know you hear them and you see them, that's a gift you can give. How do you give that? Through the energy of truth. These are the things we're going to explore this summer for over the next 12 weeks. So it's really awesome. I'm giving you the Coles Notes overview. If you want more information, I encourage you to get the book Believe. It's on, you can get it on my website, has all the links, but you can get it on Amazon and all of the big retailers. Some of them ship faster than others. So anyways, the third universal energy is joy. And joy is the energy of creation. Isn't that fun? It's not love. It's joy. Joy is a vibration. It's really cool. it brings your potential into being. And when people say, like, I feel lifted up right now, like, I just feel like I could fly, right? You get so excited, your inspiration is flowing. That's you following your instincts, right? And your energy. And then all of a sudden you'll share your inspiration with someone, right? And then your energy shifts because of their reaction to it. And then you come out of joy and your creation ability comes down, right? It's extremely powerful. Yeah, joy is really cool. Fourth energy is compassion. So compassion it's communication, but it's also your actions and reactions. So compassion is, I see you, and I have zero need for you to be anything other than you are. I hold you in the energy of who you are. I hold that space for you. It's lovely. It's powerful. It's incredible. And so the other really cool thing to understand is each of these universal beings have their own each of these universal energies have their own universal beings that literally, again, remember, all souls, everyone is created for a purpose. So these universal beings were created to hold this vibration in this whole universe for this energy. Just, you have one too. You have a very specific one. But the being for compassion is Jesus. Jesus is the only universal being who has ever come in to human form. He was the first one to come into human form, and he was here to help restore compassion in humanity. And he came and he tried and he did a little bit, and he's like, okay, not ready yet. And, he had to leave. They're just not ready yet. But that's what he fosters. So if you're, you want to be able to hold that space, you want to, right? Action and reaction. That's like when someone says something or someone does something, how are you reacting to that? When you hear something on the news, how are you reacting? When you have to do something and you're a little bit stressed about it, how are you acting as a result, right? So Jesus helps. So that's the other thing, you're going to meet the universal beings. I'm going to hold the space. They're going to hold the space. We're going to amplify it so you can feel them. You can do it on yourself, on your own too, right? Like, this is where I have believe all the time, and I actually use all of these energies, and I have a sacred prayer that I'm going to tell you guys at the end of it. I'll share my sacred prayer with you because it's so cool. And I know a lot of you, being in the collective, you've created your own, you're using them, and it's game changing. It changed my life. That is the number one thing that started my awakening journey. And it just catapulted me into fulfilling my purpose 100%. So the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Gosh, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, hey, faster, talk faster. So I'm going to try not to talk too fast. Okay. So the fifth universal energy is respect. Respect is the universal awareness of self-recognition. And it's really cool because you can see, right, that it goes hand in hand with self-worth. It's really cool. So it's funny, actually, as I'm hearing it, and it's like, gosh, you don't really hear it anymore, but yeah, because it was like when old record players. So do you ever, you may not remember, but I think many of you will, record players, when you'd put it on and there would be like that crackle sound coming through the speakers, like they're showing me that crackle sound right now. And that's, a result of where we're at, how much we're hearing, right? If it's crackling, the full vibration of your awareness it's not coming through yet, but it's crackling, which means it's starting to come through, right? It's like when you're saying to someone on that crackly phone line, like, I can't hear you. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Oh, I can't hear you. No, I can hear you again, right? It's the most frustrating thing in the world. And yet that's what they're showing me. Like, that's the experience today is I'm opening the door so you can be like, oh, that's a part of me. That's a part of, part of who I am. And then you can just open that door whenever you want. And don't worry if it's staticky or it's crackly. It gets clearer the more you focus on it, the more you allow yourself to open to it. Because that's what it is literally a part of you. It's not hidden. All you have to do is remember. And how do you remember? By trying it, by doing it, and by showing up, by participating. We love that word. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The energy of purity. Oh, this one's cool. So again, December 2023, the solstice is the beginning of the new year energetically. And last year they introduced purity. So the year before was transparency, and the year before that was truth. So they actually changed in 2021. So this universe had always been founded on the energy of love. And as we've been going through this transformation, the creator went, okay, well, love's not going to work anymore because that's the connection, right? That universal connection. But in order to bring us back in line and full awareness, he realized we have to start with truth. We have to start with truth. So that's where in 2021, December, all truth started to come out. If you go back and look at the news, look at the stories and how everything became amplified. And so, truth is universal knowledge. We have access to it, right? I mean, you go back and you look at all of the movements that started in 2022 and went right through it. And then at the end of 2022, they introduced transparency. And the reason they introduced transparency was because with transparency, you can't hide from yourself, because there's a lot of us that were like, oh, this is my truth and I'm going to stay over here in my truth. But that's really hiding from the truth. So when they introduced transparency, if you go back and look, and this was all of 2023, because it came in right at the end of 2022. God, these are like tongue twisters. And so as you go through 2023, you'll see how many times how many businesses, how many organizations started to use the word transparency. We're fully transparent, but really they weren't being transparent. They were just saying, we want you to know this about our company and our organization. So you're not focused over here on what we're also doing, but we don't want you to know about that. So focus on this part. So transparency it's fascinating and we do this in the collective. We know what's happening and we see it as it's happening. So we're all watching it unfold and then we talk about it. It's really cool, actually. And it's fun. It's fun to be on the side where you're not wondering all the time, is this like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Right? When you can relax into knowing and then you can participate in it from that place of knowing, it's fun. And guess what? It breeds joy, which is really, really cool. Okay. So purity is number 6, and it's also the energy this year. But best thing about purity is it's the antidote to judgment. And that is massive, massive. Remember when I was talking about those 4 structures that are here to keep us under control, right? The cool thing is, if religion formed judgment, okay, and now it's mass. So everyone, whether you're religious or not, it doesn't matter. It's the foundation that was created, a few 100,000 years ago, that you need to go outside of yourself to believe in something and that someone has the authority to judge you, right? Because the creator is not that. It's not the creator at all. His intention is fundamentally different. It's free will. He's here to watch your participation. He's here to learn and explore from your participation. He's not here to judge. There's no such thing. So purity is freedom. It's the universal energy of freedom. It also embodies self-expression. And again, if you're not worried about judgment, what are you doing? I have to tell you a funny little story. So this morning I was talking to a friend and I was texting. I was telling you about his cat, and I like, anyways, it was funny because I was like, oh, cats have so much attitude. Just give them some time. And then I was like, oh, I want to be a cat. I want to have that cat energy where I can do anything and say anything and be anything and not care. They don't care. They don't care. If you know what I'm talking about, if you have cats, if you're aware of cats, you know. If you don't, you're going to look at me like I have four heads, and that's okay too, because, you know, but cats are completely different and they're so cool, but they embody purity, right? There you go. Nancy's your companion. See, that's brilliant. Yeah, they're brilliant. Like if you piss them off, they're going to tell you right then and there. They're not going to wait. They're not going to hold a grudge. They're not going to hold resentment. No, right? They're in. Anyways, so be the cat. I was like, I am going to channel some cat energy. Anyways, purity. Number 7 is balance. So balance is the energy of divine flow, but more importantly, it governs healing. So if you would like to reclaim your power over the medical system, use balance, because balance restores your ability to be self-healing and self-sustaining, because that's what they took away. Isn't it cool? It's so simple. It is so simple. So how you would use it, like I'll give you a couple short examples. We'll go into longer and more personal in the course. But, you know, for me, if I have an issue physically, with my physical self or emotional self, right, that's out of balance, I'm like, okay, show me where I need to restore balance. Show me how to restore balance. That's how I approach it. So I'm not searching for answers with my mind, ever. Every once in a while, I get caught up and I start, like I'll have an inspiration and then I start and I go down the rabbit hole. So, you know, I'll get the energy of, oh, try this. And then my brain wants to kick in, right? That education system training goes, oh, let's try this and we'll research this and blah, blah, blah. And then I pull back because it always takes me down the wrong train. So if I come back and I go, okay, hold on, balance, show me what? And then I just wait and I'm open. You have to remember, the answers that come are going to challenge your beliefs. If they weren't, you would already be doing them. Okay? So when information comes, if it makes you uncomfortable, look there. If it makes you comfortable, oh yeah, I can do this. This is going to be easy. This is fine. I don't have to change anything. I just have to do this one little thing. It's not the answer. Okay? It doesn't mean it has to be uncomfortable. But what I want you to understand is discomfort means you're facilitating change. If you want change to occur, because balance needs to be restored, something has to change. So if you're going for the thing with least change, right? You know, a lot of people would say, oh, with ease and grace, with ease and grace. Well, I can tell you, if you're asking for ease and grace right after you've asked for truth, the truth won't show up because you've said, here, give me truth. And then you went, oh, it's ease and grace. So you have to filter it right through this tiny little line. That's control. And it's not going to happen. This 8th energy is movement. Movement is evolution. and we talked about that earlier, you're here to play. You're here to explore your potential and the potential of the universe. You're not here to tell yourself you can't. You're not here to listen to anyone else who says you can't. Your job is to find a way. Your purpose is combined in all of these energies. And I want to be clear about purpose itself. Remember when I said it is not a job description, okay? It is also something you're meant to be doing. It doesn't matter how big a scale or small scale. Maybe you're going to do it as a business. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to do it as a lifelong thing. It doesn't matter. The point is you're meant to be doing it. You're meant to be exploring that aspect of existence. Why? Because you knew as a soul coming in here, you would have the potential to expand the entire human race's perspective on that aspect of existence. Why? Because something that was interesting to you, that has you asking, how does that work? How is that possible? Because you're interested. Because your soul is prodding you. Look here, look here. Keep going. Don't worry what other people say. Okay? You're meant to be doing it. Don't say, oh, well, I'm to this or I'm to that, and I don't want to have it as a big business, or I don't want to have it as, or I can't do it because of this. You can do anything. Your soul purpose is woven throughout every experience you've ever had since the moment you were conceived, not born, conceived. Your job is to allow yourself to discover all the points that make sense. And you can't do it with your mind. So when you feel an inspiration somewhere, oh, I'm going to check this out. Oh, I'm going to check that out. Keep going there. Keep looking. The pieces will start to come together. Which brings me to the 9th energy, which is illumination. Illumination is your participation in the universal experience as a universal being. Most of us here are participating as human beings. 99.9% of the population. There's literally a handful of humanity that is fully awakened. And, it's not a competition. It's not about how awakened you are. It's about, are you participating today? That's it. Are you participating today? Because every single day, your soul is giving you dozens of opportunities to recognize your potential. Are you choosing to participate? That's illumination. It's a process of shedding all of your limiting beliefs. So your participation is everything that happens that feels, you question it. You question your beliefs around it. And then you get to more truth. Because truth will always reveal itself. It's meant to. Make sense? So today, I'm going to just put it in the chat. If you guys do want to, that's the link to sign up. For the 12 weeks, it's $997 if you pay one time. If you want to pay in 3 payments, it's $397 each. We are going to be doing 12 weeks of exploring. We're going to explore each of these 9. We're going to explore why you're created and then we're going to do a live Q&A, but we're also going to do the one energy that was created in order to create transformation. And that's the energy of trust. So it's not one of the original 9, but when the creator saw the pain and suffering, but he also still believes in us. He believes that we're going to turn this around because he believes in our ability to remember who we are. And he created the vibration and energy of trust. How many people have an issue trusting humans, trusting anything these days? It's tricky, right? It's tricky to trust. And the reality is it's because we've been lied to so many times, right? So depression is a result of truth being withheld from you. Okay? Anxiety is the result of you withholding truth from yourself. So it's like, I don't want to look at that because I'm going to see the answers and I don't really want to. So we put a lot of energy into being busy and not looking and seeing, and we come up with all the reasons I'm too busy. I can't, they're not going to tell me anyways. When I'm talking about truth, I'm not saying you need to get it being withheld from you. I don't mean, you think your spouse is cheating on you and you need them to tell you. No. Anxiety is you going, I know they're cheating and I don't want to believe it. So I'm going to not believe it until I can find proof. And I'm not going to confront them because I don't want the proof, right? That's anxiety inducing. Okay. Does that make sense? Depression is, I don't understand why I can't feel a deep connection in my relationships because no one ever told you how to connect with yourself, let alone connecting with other humans. These are the concepts that we're going to be talking about all summer. So if that's of interest, I encourage you to come to sign up to participate with us. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited. And like I said, I've been asked for this since 2012, I guess, not 2013. But anyways, so I'm going to share with you one more thing. God. Okay. So my tool that I use, and this has been before I even wrote the book. But then once I wrote the book, it was really cool because it gave me such a solid, strong foundation. It's this my sacred prayer. And I write it and I say it out loud every morning and every night. So as soon as I wake up in the morning, I say it out loud and right before I go to sleep. The reason that I say it out loud is twofold. One, so that my voice can get comfortable saying out loud the things that I want most in the world. And I don't care who hears them. My son actually does it with me. He'll say it with me. It's lovely. The other reason is your ears need to get comfortable hearing about your own greatness, about who you are. They need to hear it repetitively. Because guess what? All this conditioning, it's been going in repetitively since you showed up here. So you're literally reversing all of this damage. Okay. So the thing here, this is how I start. And I say the first one, I go through all 9, love, I am. Resist the urge to say, I am love. Okay. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you start with I, it's you trying to bring the universal energy to you, which again, it's like trying to bring new awarenesses into your filing system in your brain. You take it and you shrink it. Don't do that. Focus on the vibration of universal love first. Love, I am. So you feel like when I set my intention on love and then I allow the energy to come in to fill me up. And then I say, I am, so that I am allowing myself to be filled with it and in connection with that energy. And then I go through all of them. I say, love, I am, truth, I am. And I deep breathe in and out. If I need to say one 10 times because I need to get into that energy, I can feel it, then I do it 10 times. No rules, guys. Remember, there's no rules. But I do encourage you to start with the universal energy before you start with yourself. So you want to take the universal energy and then allow yourself to reach up to it. Does that make sense? Okay. And then I share underneath, like I write it out on a piece of paper. That's why I'm saying underneath. So I say all the 9, and then I'll share what it is I'm working on and what I'm working towards. Always in the universal perspective. So never in judgment, right? Never in fear. I don't like this. I don't want any more of this. It's, I love being surrounded by humans who thrive on hearing truth. I love communicating and connecting with humans who love the vibration of respect and compassion. So, that's how, it doesn't matter what you're putting on, just have it. And when you join the collective, we actually go through and we create our sacred prayers. And then when you put it in, I'll actually go in and help you word it and sort of up level it to meet your soul potential, which is really cool. So that's my sacred prayer. That's the tool I've been using 20 years just over 20 years. And it literally changed my life. It catapulted me because it's training your brain to stay aware, to pay attention to the parts of you and the parts of existence that matter, which is those 9 fundamentals. Nothing else is real. That's the cool thing is fear, judgment, anxiety, depression, none of them are actually real. They exist so there's 3 different levels of energy. There's universal, there's soul, and there's physical. They only exist on a physical vibration. They're not universal. Universal energies are self-sustaining. All of those 9 fundamentals plus trust are all universal and self-sustaining. As a soul, you were created with universal energy. You have soul awareness. So you have awareness of how the physical and the universal cohabitate. Okay? When you go from the mind, your mind cannot comprehend soul or universal. And if for one moment of existence, and this is where the collective aspect is so important. If for one moment of existence, if every single human was void of fear for 1 second, fear would no longer exist. It needs to be sustained by human energy because it's not self-sustaining. Every one of these 9 fundamentals will exist no matter what, which is why we still have access to them, even though all these other things happened. Okay, 2 hours. That was good.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to learn more, head on over to michellevickers.com. Join our mailing list to receive new episodes right to your inbox or apply to be a guest on the show. If this episode made you think of someone while you were listening, forward the link onto that person with a little note about why it made you think of them, because the greatest gift you can give another human is to see the beauty and purity of who they truly are. Until next time, stay curious.